Let's get started with our first news. Shawn Brady sends a message to UFC welterweights. After securing a huge win over Leon Edwards in London, Shawn Brady believes without a doubt that he should be next in line for a crack at the title, not Shavkat Rakhmonov, who was recently named the #1 contender after defeating Garry back at UFC 310. Brady feels strongly that his recent performances, the level of competition he has faced, and the statement he made against Leon Edwards prove that he deserves the next shot more than anyone else in the division. During an interview with MMA Fighting this week, Brady made it very clear how he sees the situation. Although Rakhmonov's victory over Garry did technically position him for a title shot, Brady pointed out that right now he's the fighter with a #1 next to his name on the official UFC rankings. I am the #1 contender. There's a 1 next to my name. So I am the #1 contender. Shavkat's #2, even though they said he's getting the title shot next. But if you look at who he's beaten as of late and who I've beaten, it should be me, Brady stated passionately. Brady is not just sitting back and waiting either. He made it known that if the UFC decides to book him against Shavkat Rakhmonov in a #1 contender's fight, he is more than willing to accept that challenge. He confidently declared, "I know I'm the best fighter in the world on this planet, so if I have to go beat Shavkat and then fight for the belt, I'm cool with that." Brady's confidence shines through, and he seems ready to prove his point inside the octagon, no matter who stands across from him. Looking ahead, Brady revealed that he plans to attend the highly anticipated matchup between Belal Muhammad and Jack Della Maddalena, set to take place on May 10th. He wants to be there in person, keeping a close eye on how things unfold, especially since the outcome could have major implications for the welterweight title picture. Being present at such an important event shows that Brady is serious about staying involved and staying visible as the next top contender. While his main hope is to be next in line for a shot at the championship, Brady doesn't seem too stressed about the situation. His attitude remains calm and focused. He mentioned that if the UFC has other plans, he's open to discussions and both sides can work together to figure it out. His mindset shows maturity and patience, two qualities that are crucial in a sport where timing and opportunity often go hand in hand. At the end of the day, Shawn Brady is determined to keep proving that he belongs at the top of the division. Whether it means fighting Shavkat Rakhmonov first or stepping straight into a title fight, he's ready for whatever comes next. His message is loud and clear to the rest of the welterweight division. Shawn Brady is here, and he's coming for that gold. Moving on to the second news, Israel Adesanya opens up about his future, making it clear that he's not chasing the belt anymore and is simply waiting for the right contract. On a recent episode of the Pound for Pound podcast, the former middleweight champion gave fans a raw and honest look into where his head is at. One thing is certain, Adesanya is entering a new phase of his career. He's not desperate for gold. He's already been at the top of the mountain. He's made history. And now, it's about securing the bag and stacking up wins. The belt, that's not the priority anymore. Legacy fights and smart business moves are what's on his mind, but let's not sugarcoat the reality here. Adesanya has been through a rough patch lately, after a shocking defeat to Sean Strickland where he looked like a shadow of the fighter that once ruled the division. The setbacks only piled up. He returned against Dricus du Plessis and got finished in brutal fashion. Then came another tough loss, this time to Nasruddin Imavov, a fight that left many fans wondering if Izzy's best days were truly behind him. 3 back-to-back losses, 3 different opponents, 3 different styles. It's the kind of skid that could mentally break even the toughest fighters. But Israel Adesanya, he seems completely unfazed. In fact, he's embracing it. According to him, these aren't just losses, they are lessons. And with the kind of star power that he carries, even now, every single time he steps into the octagon, it's still a massive event. Fans still care, promoters still see dollar signs. Izzy is fully aware of this, and he's looking to capitalize. The big question now is, what's next for Israel Adesanya? Will he look for a fan favorite banger of a fight? Maybe a high profile rematch with Sean Strickland? Or perhaps another big name to add to his already legendary resume? Whatever move he makes next, one thing is clear. Izzy's mindset has shifted. He's no longer fighting for belts. He's fighting for himself. In his own words, Adesanya said, "Yeah, I was just a guy who really came in here and enjoyed himself and did it my way. That's one thing I want to be appreciated for. And it's not over. Like, I haven't said, like, I don't need the belt like people think I need. I don't. I got belts already. Now I just want to fight, make lots of money, some great fights. There's cool fights out there, man. There's cool fights out there, and I'll get those. But right now, it's just, yeah, I'm inspired. So again, this is fresh. This is new territory. I've never been here before. more. So again, I just want to play my cards accordingly to what I want to do. Yeah, in my own time. One of the podcast hosts responded, "You're in a new season of your life right now." Izzy agreed, smiling. Amen. Right where we need to be, enjoying it. Before wrapping up, the host added, "I just want to say, man, thanks Israel. I hated on you like you wouldn't believe." Izzy laughed and replied, "I know. But haters are your biggest fans, dude. And what you've been able to do, not being a wrestler, to me, that's impressive." Izzy then smiled and added, "I can wrestle, right?" Israel Adesanya may be stepping into unknown territory, but make no mistake, the last style bender is still very much in the game. Moving on to another news, Jon Jones finally breaks his silence on Tom Aspinall. A Georgian fan recently approached Jon Jones while recording the whole interaction and didn't hesitate to ask the burning question that's been on every MMA fan's mind. What would Jones do if he fought Tom Aspinall? Without even flinching, Jon stared straight into the camera and delivered a message that left no room for doubt, no hesitation, no sugarcoating, just pure vintage Jon Jones energy. The fan asked, "What you gonna do with Aspinall?" And without missing a beat, Jon fired back sharply, "I'm going to fuck him up." The confidence, the tone, the body language, everything about that moment showed that Jones is as serious as ever. He even nodded in agreement when the fan pressed him further, asking if he really meant it. Jones made it crystal clear, if the fight with Aspinall happens, he fully intends to dominate. And honestly, that might be the best sign yet that this massive heavyweight showdown is closer to becoming reality. Speaking of which, Dana White recently gave some exciting updates regarding this highly anticipated fight. According to Dana, the bout between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall is, quote, "done but not done." In typical Dana fashion, he teased fans by explaining that while the fight is agreed upon in principle, the only thing left is for both sides to officially sign the paperwork. The deal is almost there, just a few minor details to lock down. Despite growing impatience from fans and rising speculation over whether Jones would return to defend his title or possibly vacate it, White sounds extremely optimistic that the fight will indeed happen. Not only that, but Dana also revealed that the UFC is targeting a summer timeline for this epic clash. That's right, if all goes well, we could see Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall happening in just a few months. And when it does, it will be nothing short of a monumental moment for the UFC's heavyweight division. The stakes could not be higher. On one side, you have Jon Jones, arguably the greatest fighter in MMA history, a man who conquered the light heavyweight division for a decade and then moved up to heavyweight to capture the undisputed title. On the other side, you have Tom Aspinall, the interim champion, a dangerous, athletic heavyweight with the speed, power, and skill set to pose serious problems for anyone in the world, including Jones. Aspinall is hungry, he wants to become the undisputed champion, and Jones, well, he wants to remind everyone why he's considered the GOAT. If this fight goes down, it's set to be one of the biggest heavyweight battles in UFC history. A true clash of generations, a battle between an all-time great and a rising superstar. The anticipation is absolutely electric, and fans are eagerly waiting for the official announcement to drop. One thing is for sure, when Jon Jones says he's going to fuck someone up, you better believe he means it. Moving on to another news, Garry reacts to his impressive win over Carlos Prates. Garry had to face a few tough moments, especially toward the end, but overall he showed he was a clear level above Carlos Prates during their UFC Kansas City main event. From the opening bell, Garry controlled most of the action with his sharp striking, footwork, and patience. Even when Prates mounted some offense late in the fight, Garry stayed composed and proved he belonged at the top of the welterweight division. After the fight, Garry wasted no time addressing his fans. He hopped onto social media and shared a passionate message about his win and what's next for him. In a video post, Garry said, "What's up, everyone? We just did it again. 25 days notice against one of the most dangerous guys in the division. And guess what? Next week I'm flying to Canada. I fly to Canada as the backup for that world title fight, and if anybody slips up, you best believe there's a world title coming back home to Dublin, Ireland, and Brazil. Baby, I love you. Thank you for your love, your support. Let's do this one more time. I'm one of the baddest men in the world, and there ain't no one stopping me reaching my dreams. Love you all. Have a great night." Garry's energy was electric, and it's clear he's riding a massive wave of momentum right now. Being named the backup fighter for the Bilal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena welterweight title fight is no small feat. It shows how much the UFC believes in his star potential and ability to step up at any moment if needed. If something were to happen to either Belal or Jack before fight night, Ian Garry would be ready to seize the moment and possibly bring a world title back to Dublin and Brazil, as he proudly stated. During the post-fight press conference, Garry also laid out a bold and ambitious 3-fight plan for his future. He explained it clearly, leaving no doubts about what he wants next. You guys know I like plans, right? You guys know I have visions in my mind. Well, let me tell you what's next. I'm going to fight the winner. I believe it's Belal, and that's nothing against Jack. I just believe stylistically Belal has what it takes to get this fight done, and quite convincingly. So I'm gonna fight Belal next. I'm gonna beat Belal. Belal has said it many times. I am the toughest opponent in the division for him. Garry continued, revealing his bigger vision. Then Belal doesn't have the belt. There's a certain pound-for-pound number 1 who wants to come up, and his name is Islam Makhachev, and I have nothing but love and respect for that man and his style, and it would be an honor to share the octagon with him. I would love to go out there and prove against him in my first title defense that I'm the pound-for-pound number 1. I beat him, I take that status. Finally, Garry made it clear he wants redemption against Shavkat Rakhmonov, stating, and then Shavkat gets the rematch, and I'm gonna go out there and I am going to dismantle that man and prove that he never won that fight. And that's my next 3-fight plan. That's how I see it going. Moving on to another news, Dana White has confirmed that Ian Machado Garry is officially the backup for the Belal Muhammad vs. Jack Della Maddalena title fight. After an action-packed night at UFC Kansas City, Dana White faced the media for his usual post-fight press conference, addressing several hot topics. One key moment came when a reporter asked about Ian Garry's recent announcement regarding UFC 315. The reporter asked, "Is that official? Did he just announce that himself?" Referencing Garry's earlier social media post where he excitedly told fans that he would be traveling to Canada to serve as the backup fighter for the upcoming welterweight title fight. Without any hesitation, Dana White gave a short but powerful confirmation. It's official. This simple statement from Dana White carried a lot of weight. It validated everything Ian Garry said after his impressive win over Carlos Prates. Garry had promised he would stay ready to step in if anything happened to Belal Muhammad or Jack Della Maddalena, and now, with Dana's confirmation, there's no doubt that Garry is officially locked in as the backup fighter for UFC 315. This announcement is a massive moment in Ian Garry's young career. Not every fighter gets the opportunity to serve as a backup for a title fight. It's a role that speaks volumes about Garry's status within the UFC. Young, undefeated, confident, and willing to rise to any challenge. The UFC clearly sees him as a future title contender. For Garry, this is a high-stakes opportunity. If either Belal or Jack is forced to pull out, Garry could find himself fighting for the undisputed UFC welterweight championship on short notice. Even if he doesn't step into the cage that night, the fact that he's positioned as the backup shows that big things are on the horizon for him. With Dana's confirmation, the anticipation around UFC 315 only grows. Ian Garry's star continues to rise, and fans are eager to see if he'll get the call to step into one of the biggest fights of his life. Moving on to another news, Chael Sonnen talks about the possibility of the UFC stripping Islam Makhachev. During the latest episode of the Good Guy Bad Guy podcast, Daniel Cormier brought up some interesting chatter that's been circulating. According to Cormier, there have been rumblings suggesting that Islam Makhachev could be facing the threat of being stripped of his UFC lightweight title. As soon as this topic came up, Chael Sonnen wasted no time diving into it with his signature passionate analysis. Sonnen made it crystal clear where he stands. In his eyes, Islam Makhachev's title is not just another belt, it's protected by armor. And that armor isn't just built on Makhachev's dominance inside the octagon, but also on the powerful figure standing behind him, none other than Khabib Nurmagomedov. Sonnen emphasized how much weight Khabib's legacy still carries in the UFC. He even argued that the UFC would never risk disrespecting Khabib, even indirectly, by doing something as drastic as stripping Islam. I saw something yesterday that said it's either defend or be stripped for Islam, Sonnen said. I heard that too, but there's no way that's true. Nobody would dare cross King Khabib. No way, not in this. They wouldn't even when Khabib tried to give his own damn belt back. They wouldn't accept it. He was shoving it in their face and they wouldn't even put their hands on it. So they're not going to take it off of his heir apparent. That's not going to happen. Chael Sonnen also explained that unless Islam himself decides to willingly vacate the belt, the UFC simply won't strip him. He pointed out that Makhachev has expressed a desire to move up to 170 pounds, as making 155 pounds consistently has become a tougher task for him over time. And now, considering that the UFC allowed featherweight king Alexander Volkanovski to move up and challenge for lightweight gold, it would be a bad look to deny Makhachev a similar opportunity. The only thing Islam has ever asked for is to move up to 170 pounds. Sonnen continued, he doesn't want to be at 155 anymore, and now that you allowed a featherweight to move up, it's a little hard to tell Islam he can't do the same. By the end of the discussion, Sonnen tied everything together with a strong statement. He said that even if the UFC frames it as a stripping, fans and insiders would know the reality. It would be a strategic move masked as a voluntary vacating of the belt, not a real stripping. You can call it a stripping if you want, but if you look at the actions, he was stripped because they said he vacated. They want to insist that, but we know the truth, Sonnen concluded. This whole situation has added a new layer of tension to the lightweight division. Fans now wait to see whether Makhachev stays to defend his title or moves up to welterweight, and whether the UFC dares to challenge the legacy of Khabib by touching the belt of his protege.